Quilty is brought to you by Babylok Sewing and Long Arm Machines. Babylok, for the love of sewing. Aurifil. Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Fairfield. Together, we can make beautiful things. Free Spirit. A new generation of creative and playful fabrics perfect for fashions, home decor, quilting, crafting, and more. Hovels Sewing. Cut it close with Hovels. Moda. Make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Thermoweb. Manufacturer of heat and bond adhesives and new luxe interfacings, proudly made in the USA. Hey, Mom.
Hi, Mare.
You know, you are not yet a grandmother. You probably are well aware of this.
Yes, I know, but that doesn't mean I haven't made a lot of baby quilts.
That's true. And I've made a lot of baby quilts, and I'm not a mom.
Well, I'll tell you, the thing about baby quilts is if you're invited to a baby shower, if you're the one that brings, if you're shy, don't bring a baby quilt.
Yeah.
Because you will become the center of attention because it's a made by hand gift and it trumps no matter what fancy store somebody else's gift comes from, the fact that you made a quilt. Because when you give a quilt to somebody, you are giving your most precious thing, your time.
That's it. Every single time, to a baby, to a loved one, and to charity,
Yes.
anything. A quilt is your time and
Yeah.
your attention, and you can use it. The person who gets the quilt can use it and will keep it forever. I mean, a quilt is a perfect object.
Nothing says love more than a quilt as a gift, in my opinion. So we've got a few with us.
Yes, we got a few baby quilts with us because today we're going to talk about tips for making great baby quilts and tips for making your baby quilt gifting experience, your experience and theirs, even better and more effective. We're going for
More
maximum
well-received, yes.
efficiency
Credit.
and effectiveness on these baby quilts.
Maximum credit.
Yes.
This is cute. This is like a little drunkard's path. Let's not call it that.
This is what I call this is drunk baby.
Yeah. This is a curved little path.
Yes, it's
It's a baby's path.
Pie
Toddler path. It's a toddler path.
Pie and crust is
Yes,
actually
pie and
what
crust,
I like
yeah.
to call it. It's called Little Lady. This is featured in Quilty Magazine. This is going to someone special.
Dorothy, you're going to see Dorothy in a minute.
And we've got several quilts. And let's talk about one tip. Let's talk about...
I got a new tip we didn't talk about before.
Okay.
Is like, you look, this is kind of got a decidedly modern feel.
Yes.
I would say don't worry over much about matching it to the baby's room.
Right.
Actually, if you match it to the baby's room, that will keep them from using it because then they'll display it. So, they're going to like the quilt no matter what. And you need a lot of quilts when you have a baby.
Yes, that's
Small,
right.
medium, and large. So don't fret about the colors.
I designed this because I liked the colors myself, and it's going to work out just fine for the baby. So I didn't stress about that.
Yeah, but do use good materials, good fabric, quality, because you want it to be used.
That's the second tip, is use quality materials. You want it to be used, and you
Right.
want it to last. So
Right.
to use the best materials you can afford.
Right,
Okay?
absolutely. Now this one, it's kind of funny because when I looked for quilts to bring, this is string spider web. It was in Love of Quilting magazine years ago, and it's when I hunt for a baby quilt to give away on my stack. This one has never gotten given away because it is more intense work. I mean, one of our tips is you go for a simple pattern. Make it easy. You're going to give it away. The baby doesn't care.
But you didn't follow that tip.
Well,
This is not
I
simple.
was making it for a publication. Actually, you know what? I wanted to make a big quilt up on Washington Island, but I didn't take enough fabric with me, and so I wound up making a small quilt. That's the truth.
So this wasn't for a baby.
No, it just turned out small. So, every
Interesting.
quilt has a story.
It
Now,
certainly
this was for a
does.
class, and this has been folded up. This was for a class, so this also goes against our rules. Do not make a hand-quilted whole cloth quilt. Because
Wait, on the show today, we're going to show you everything that you should not do.
don't do. And this is, spit up would be terrible on this quilt. But this is hand-quilted. Look, I used to be able to
It's
do hand-quilted.
gorgeous.
It's
I would
gorgeous.
keep this as far away from a baby as possible.
This you would christen the baby in it and then put it away in the cedar chest. So don't do that. It's called Little Princess. Yeah. This one was one of my first early quilts. I made this in the 80s. And I put it in the State Fair in Iowa. And people were looking at it. And so I sidled up to hear their comments. It was in a quilt show. And they're like, see, it's called Kitten Basket. And people said, don't you love those little bears? Those little bears are so cute.
And it was called Kitten Basket?
Yeah, and so I was real egotistical because they're admiring my quilt. So I went up to here, and then I got hosed down immediately because they don't really look very.
Nowadays that's all online. All those comments about the bears. Well, I think they look like foxes.
Oh, yeah,
well, they don't
right.
look like kittens to me.
Right.
That was the better thing about making quilts in the 80s is that
You had to be there.
You had to be there to hear those horrible
To
comments.
overhear, yeah.
Now wait, before
Okay.
you start whipping quilts away,
sorry.
let's consult the script.
Yeah, okay.
Tips.
Quick pattern. Not like this. Something easy, a 9 patch, little triangles,
Not-
squares, bricks is a darling.
Bricks is darling. Quality materials.
Yes.
I know at this time in your life you couldn't afford to
Right.
have tons and tons of fabric, so you used
What I had, little
little
bits, little polka
accents.
dots. That's all we had in those days. You're very lucky now.
And otherwise, you
Yes.
used a really nice blue and white. It doesn't have to be crazy a bazillion fabrics.
No.
Okay, that is dirty.
Yes,
This is
cuddle.
dirty
It's
right
old.
there.
It's old. It's like 25 years old. It's older than you.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, it is. Flannel is great. Cuddly fabric, soft, and for boys especially, or for girls, flannel is a great choice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Flannel, or some people like to put the minkee on the back, the
Yeah.
cuddle minkee. So either flannel or a cuddle material is great because the babies
Right.
they really like it. Now
Well-
and consult tutorials or the instructions about using maybe different needles or if you need to do anything funky to sew that. I don't think you usually do.
No. Oh, no. Yeah, right. That's true. Also, the cotton is soft already.
Yeah.
Cotton. And also, here's a tip we didn't put down: don't put any buttons. Don't sew buttons or anything hanging on. You don't want them to, you don't want them anything that can
No,
come off.
no.
Yeah.
Choking hazards and
And
things
also,
like that.
one of the most important things is
Yeah.
you want to really emphasize to the parents: this quilt is to be used.
Yes.
If this quilt is shredded by the time they go to school, to kindergarten, you have succeeded in giving the perfect gift. Okay?
Yes, that's good.
So you could put washing instructions, but I would just say to parents, just throw it in with their clothes.
Yeah.
Just throw it in. Wash it because it
Grab that
becomes
little lady
softer
quilt,
and
that first
softer
one.
and softer.
Yeah, like this
Let's
quilt.
whip this one away and you can have the stage for that one.
Yeah, so this quilt, it's meant to be used. It's meant to be washed. It's not. It's actually another tip here is to use fabrics that you don't see that won't show a lot of dirt. I mean,
Right.
that little princess quilt, is really
Nix
beautiful.
on that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not so much because this one isn't going to show the little burp and the whatever, the little juices, the baby creates.
The baby juices, yeah.
But on that label, put washing instructions for the parents because they probably think, okay, I can wash the quilt, but I have to do it. I
Just-
dry clean it, or I have to
No.
take it and do this special thing. No, just tell
Wash
them
it in
they
the
can-
Dreft, the baby soap that you're washing everything. And what's so neat is you have this out again because this is going to Dorothy.
Yes, we have a
and we
picture.
brought some photos, a photo of Dorothy. And this is Dorothy, whose mother is Sarah, our good
Yeah,
friend.
very new baby.
New
this one.
baby. And this is a quilt I sent along for Dorothy. And this one is going to Dorothy
Yes.
because, like we said, they need lots of quilts.
Lots of quilts.
We also have a picture of quilts in use. And you can see in the next picture, you see Nola is on the left and Daphne's on the right, and their dad, Matt, we asked him for pictures of and instead of hunting for old pictures, he put them on the kids and sent us a picture.
Those are fresh pictures.
Fresh pictures of the quilts still loved.
Mhm. And then the last one, I think, is one my friend Bilal and his wife Dana had Little Robin.
Yeah.
And that's a quilt that I made. I think I made part of it on the show on Quilty.
Yeah.
And then I actually tied that quilt, which is,
Not a bad
It's not a
idea.
bad idea. If you need to get it done, I really wanted to get this baby this quilt. And it was like, I got to do this and I got to tie
But
it.
tied is great because tied is puffier
Yes.
a little bit. So if you're in a rush, go ahead and tie it. And that'll be fine.
Yeah.
And, consult the Quilter's Complete Guide. There's a way to tie it from the back so the threads are not on the front. And so make a baby quilt. I mean, you've got
But
to
not that one.
cover children with love.
It's true.
It's wonderful.
It's true. This was a crazy show. But there's a lot of great content. I mean,
Yes, it was
a lot
great.
of great. Yeah.
And you were my baby once.
Yeah, I
But you're
was.
grown up now, that's what we want.
Everybody's somebody's baby. See you next time. Quilty is brought to you by Baby Lock Sewing and Long Arm Machines. Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Aurifil Italian thread, perfectly suited for all your quilting projects. Fairfield, together we can make beautiful things. Free Spirit, a new generation of creative and playful fabrics perfect for fashions, home decor, quilting, crafting, and more. Hovels Sewing, cut it close with Hovels. Moda, make something quilty with Moda fabrics. Thermoweb, manufacturer of heat and bond adhesives and new luxe interfacings, proudly made in the USA.